I'm here to talk to you about the current global Ebola outbreak, real or overblown hoax? Real? You've seen the news reporting that the current Ebola outbreak is difficult to catch, but many are now saying that this is not the case. The Ebola outbreak has indeed been known to have spread across national West African borders and could become a global pandemic. Ebola-infected people have been reported sick while traveling on international flights, spreading their airborne infection. The virus can survive externally in particulate matter for a few days. For infected individuals, there is an 8 to 10 day incubation period before the sickness manifests. Could many people be carrying the deadly disease right now in places all over the world and spreading the infection? Ebola destroys the body's cells by causing them to self-destruct. Convulsions, vomiting, internal and external bleeding are the infection's manifestations. This occurs roughly over a 5-day period, which results in death. Currently, there is no known treatment. Or is all this a false flag? We live in a world where multiple crises seriously afflict the population, where sometimes it is difficult to distinguish that which is real from the imagined. If fear is the only operative, then it doesn't really matter to certain individuals in high places. There is a lot of money to be made from mass panic, especially when that which is causing the panic doesn't exist. Forget for a moment the opinions of the so-called experts and the general consensus of the masses. What if there is some alternative explanation to the Ebola outbreak? We've had disease scares come up time after time, such as SARS, the bird flu or swine flu bioterror threats. With all the corporate-controlled media hype and scaremongering, creating mass panic, certain pharmaceutical companies made huge amounts of money on treatment that was unnecessary. Nothing ever came of these diseases because either they were deliberately exaggerated or never existed. To put the outbreak into perspective, the number of people so far who have died from the so-called Ebola runs into a relatively smaller number compared to those NOT reported dying of other diseases such as the seasonal flu in a same given time period. Why is the latter never reported with its "this could wipe out the world" scenarios? Could there be some other explanation as to what's going on with Ebola? The areas where the Ebola is said to exist are steeped in extreme poverty. Nobody ever mentions this. Nobody really takes care of this by handing out good nutrition and clean water, the obvious solution. Could the illness with its related symptoms be caused by an unclean environment, malnutrition, and the effects of having profit-driven Western world highly toxic medicine foisted on the populations, even further weakening their immune systems? Questionable and highly toxic medicines include beta-lactam antibiotics, having the effect of excessive bleeding, one of the Ebola symptoms. Antibiotics, as it says, are anti-life. They not only kill harmful bacteria but also the beneficial kind. The precious little nutrition that was available to these poverty-stricken individuals is further lost by extreme cases of diarrhea where the body's nutrients are lost. Be it real or a false flag, we will of course have to wait for further developments to see where all this is going. Hope you found it useful. For more information, please click the link in description.